For my leadership application artifact, I've decided to look at process communication model and apply it to organizational change in higher education. Higher ed is a fast-changing environment, and I exist in this sandbox as an administrator of a small college, and I think PCM has a lot to offer those who are looking to make changes within the higher ed space. So we're going to look at some of those reasons why higher ed is needing to change, what some of the barriers are to change, and then we'll start to dive into PCM and look at change leadership in higher ed and how PCM might apply, focusing specifically on the importance of relationships. And then I'll conclude by making some recommendations for how leaders might apply PCM in implementing change at their college or university. So what are some of those reasons higher ed is in an intense period of change? And I would say particularly at small colleges. The first of those factors is financial strains. According to Baker and Baldwin, the concerns over rises in tuition, lack of endowments, and lack of name brand recognition are putting many colleges on the edge of extinction. Students expect world-class facilities, excellent teaching from high-quality professors, not to mention gourmet options in the dining commons. The competition for students is fierce, and in trying to keep up, many institutions are feeling financial strain. A second cause for change in higher ed is government oversight. According to Bruning, Keeney, and Thorpe, critics of higher education institutions are leading politicians to search for solutions and require more accountability and transparency. They're focused on improving graduation rates and ensuring students achieve jobs. Those are just a few of the areas politicians have taken an interest. And this isn't at all bad, but the increased regulations and rules and government oversight and accountability has cost institutions time and money and put stress on already stressed, struggling to survive institutions. Financial strains and government oversight provide the impetus to change. However, according to Fullen and Scott in their book on turnaround leadership for higher education, college campuses are change averse. So even though there's many impetus to change, college campuses are often change averse. Making any attempt at change is difficult. There are structural planning and review processes that are unnecessarily bureaucratic. Decision making is unaligned, and performance management is either inconsistent or non-existent across the campus. All of these factors lead to change implementation being extremely difficult or even unproductive. So within this context, we ask the question, is PCM applicable to change leadership in higher education? I would suggest that PCM is both applicable and valuable place to start, because PCM enables you to understand, motivate, and communicate effectively with others. It's all about connecting, whether it's your audience in a speech, or dealing with conflict in the boardroom, or just making small talk in the hallway. In the world of education, leaders must be able to communicate and connect with various constituencies: students, alumni, donors, parents, community members, and faculty. No easy task. Change leadership is all about relationships, and PCM is all about connecting. I want to look at both the theory and practice that bear out the importance of relationship to change in higher ed, and then specifically talk about how PCM. So Michael Fullen, who is a researcher of change leadership in education, developed the above framework for leading change. He has 5 components in his change matrix that he believes produces commitment to change in others. Relationship building is the third of those 5 components and central to making change happen. Fullen pointed out in his book Leading a Culture of Change that in the past, if you asked someone in a successful enterprise what caused the success, The answer was, it's the people. But that's only partially true. It's actually the relationships that make the difference. Fullen went on to talk further in the book about the leader's role in relationship building by stating that most effective leaders are not the smartest in the IQ sense, but are those who combine intellectual brilliance with emotional intelligence. Studies on change leadership in higher ed also bear out the importance of relationships. Hops and Holly in 2013 found trust remains an abstract and often elusive concept in higher education. They studied how faculty and administrators interacted, and they thought trust shared in interactions and engagement must happen regularly for change to be successful on any campus. Kaiser and Eckel in 2003 found that collaborative leadership was obvious through cross-departmental groups that met on a regular basis and faculty given the opportunity for input. And then Carey in 2014, in studying specifically small colleges, found presidents were able to quickly gain support from board of trustees and campus by listening first and linking together what was learned. And these were just a few of the studies that I looked at that talked specifically about relationship building and the importance of relationships in the process of implementing change. So how does PCM apply to this relationship building process in the midst of change? There's many ways. First, PCM is about recognizing your own personality structure and how you as a leader deal with stress and change. By first assessing yourself, you'll be able to better understand how you communicate and how you come across to others. Secondly, PCM engenders a feeling of connection and rapport, and that's an important thing to do before implementing change, to make sure those connections with the individuals you're asking to follow your lead are very strong. Third, PCM allows you to identify the most effective style of communicating with your words, tones, gestures, posture, and facial expressions. And those effective ways of communicating are going to be important as you interact with different audiences, like we talked about before. Fourthly, the application of PCM allows you to ascertain the psychological needs and motivations so that you can predict the reactions to change and influence the actions of others. As you understand the personality structure of those you're leading, you'll be able to understand how exactly change might affect them and what might motivate them to follow your lead in implementing change. And then finally, PCM allows you to understand what triggers might cause distress in those you're leading and help you avoid situations and behaviors that lead to stress. The question is not whether higher ed leaders are going to have to be change agents over the next decade. The question is, are they going to be successful in being change agents? And through the study of PCM, I've come to believe that relationships are the key to implementing change. And a leader's ability to understand the process communication model and how it applies in their context will determine their success or failure in implementing change.